Welcome to the 175th broadcast of the T-Rose Show. This is your host, Keith. And folks, it has been one busy week. We got a lot to cover, so I'm just going to move right on. Okay, we were pushing the States of the Union Society, and we have the website redone. And I'll show it to you here in just a second. Okay, this is it here. It's just the beginning. You can go ahead and you can join it here and then fill out the form and all that. And when you do that, you just become a citizen of the States of the Union Society. It's that simple, that easy. You can either go through the resident declaration thing, going and claiming a nationality, or you can go right into the society and start going in and working on your county constitutions. You can rename them. We'll publish them for you if you'd like, the existence of them, whatever you want to do. And this takes you out of the Rothschild Society. So just keep that in mind. So this website's all finished and set up, ready to go. It's at generalpostoffice.org/NAMP. Okay, we've got another one here. I'll just go ahead. This is Continental Public Bank. That website is back up again, and it's working well. I got rid of the generalpostexchange.org and .com, and it forwards over to this bank now, and you can get the points over here instead of having all these different websites. We just brought everything over to the bank, and we still have the labor back. You have a point balance now where you can earn points every time you log in and that kind of thing. And we still have the how to fund my account, that kind of thing. So everything's still there. We're all ready to go as far as this is concerned. And this gets backed up every single day. Okay, now we have another one, which is the North American National Party. Now we did this a little bit differently because we lost the list of all of the members on this one when we had the crash, North American National Party. So what you do here, you can, here's the menu. So just don't, if you're not seeing any menu, don't just click this thing here. You'll say NAMP members directory, member login, password set, profile, join the NAMP, and registration. So you'll notice that all the websites are a lot faster than they used to be. So just keep that in mind. So you just use your username, email, password. It's basic stuff, okay? And you become a chapter member. Hit this thing right here. And you could do a search. This is one guy that's already done his latest listings. You can list yourself. Now, there's two things that you need to do before you list yourself as a member. Okay. Let me see what we got. We go over to the directory. I'm not logged in, by the way, just showing everybody what's going on here. You can create a listing. Okay, I'm gonna have to log in. Just hold on one second. I'm gonna go ahead and pause this. Okay, this right here, you'll do your own listing. You just choose your state. That's all you gotta do. Just choose one of the states you're in. That'll be the different chapter, okay? And the following requirements are mandatory for joining the North American National Party. Sign up for one of the States of the Union Society. You can sign up here, and here's the link. Or you can fill out the resident declaration, claim a nationality, no exceptions. Okay, that's it. You'll put your all-cap name here and all that kind of thing, and join the party. Okay, now this gives you separate and equal station to the Republican and Democratic Party. So politically, you're equal to them. They're no longer governing you, because if they enforce any of their laws upon you, it becomes political bias. It's just one political party attacking another, which is illegal, highly illegal. runs at about a $80,000 to $100,000 a lawsuit for doing that kind of crap and violating political rights. And if they attack you in any way, which they normally do with the Democratic Party, we hit them with a lien to Democratic parties. We don't care. Republican Party, don't screw with us. We don't screw with you. We normally don't attack them, but sometimes they attack us, like they did a couple weeks ago, as far as the servers were concerned. And we retaliate, just as simple as that. Nobody here is afraid of the Republican or Democratic Party. North American National Party members are not afraid. Okay, just keep that in mind. So you can put your own, you're just making sure it's your all cap name, because you're going to go over here before you get here. And this is the American Herald newspaper. You're going to do the same thing under a business directory. And you can sign up here with registration, and you'll have to become, a member of the society, or you can sign up there, or you can go to fill out the resident declaration and claim a nationality. You can go there. So this here, same thing. You'll put in your own business name. What you do is when you go through and do your resident declaration, or you join the society, in order to join the union, you're going to have a business, because it's a commercial venture. We have our own businesses, and we have our own commerce over here. So within the United States of America. So we encourage people to create businesses, and you can put your name as LLC or corporation, private membership association, whatever you want to do. And you can literally publish those yourself. We've made these changes. We used to publish them for you. We've made all of these changes. We have lost every one of the publications in this newspaper. So the people that used to have a publication are going to need to go back and redo it. And the publications are held back for approval, meaning we watch you. And if they're wrong, we'll fix it. Don't worry about it. If they're not exactly right, we will go ahead and fix it in the wording and everything else. Okay, so don't worry about that. Just go, at least try. That's all we're asking. So this is your sign up here, registration, and everything else. And then later on, you can go and join the party. Same difference. You've joined the States of the Union, or you've done a resident declaration. You're claiming a nationality. That's over at the post office. And, if you have a website, that's great. And people that see this, they will see your listing. And search the business directory. They'll be able to find you. And they can contact you. It's great advertisement. And the same thing is over here. This is also advertisement, for free advertisement for you guys. Doesn't cost a thing to list here anything in the American Herald. It does not cost a thing to list anything at the North American National Party. It's actually saving us time if you do this yourself. Okay, it saves about probably about 5 to 6 hours a week just doing those publications. Keep in mind that as you're going through, in other words, you do your resident declaration and everything else, and you're recording it through the Office of the Secretary of State when you do your the resident declaration, and you follow through with the naturalization process. Keep in mind that that recording does not get published by us anymore. You'll have to come over to the AmericanHeraldNewspaper.com, this up here, and you'll have to do it yourself. Okay. All right. So the society page is all set up again. Everything's ready to go. We got, I think about 50 or 60 people have figured it out. We used to have about 400 and something, and we're about to sign up about over 1,000, because we have all the emails and things that we need to do to sign people up to get things done. So there you go. So that's all put together, back up and running again. All the conditions and everything are there. And this is all done too. So we've been working our tails off. Now, this is another thing that we were doing. I'm going to show you Fauci here in just a minute. Okay, I got to stop sharing. I'll go ahead and open these windows. I'll be right back. Okay, here we go. Now, this is what's been going on. People think, I thought this was kind of funny, the way that Google reacted to this. It was very childish, the way they reacted to it. I'm sure it's either an order from the CIA, military, whoever else, or some techies or whatever. But I thought it was extremely childish the way they did. I just laughed. We put it in the Human Rights Tribunal International, recognized as foreign court by U.S. courts. Okay, one of our guys got it into their jacket. Okay, it was a Mabardi case, and here's the link right here. And here's the document. Okay, you can click it here. You can see this at reignoftheheavens.com. It's right on the front page. And he did. He got it recognized as a foreign judgment under miscellaneous judgments. Miscellaneous. They put it in they always do that, right? But it did under miscellaneous judgments. So no problem. This was no big deal. So we thought, great. Now our human rights tribunal's recognized over there. Now we can get some shit done, right? So we figured we can do that. So no big deal. So we go in and we put this on. When I'm doing this, folks, I'm just doing the share to make sure that you see the page. Sometimes the page doesn't switch, so that's why I do this. So it's government of the United States of America versus Bill Gates, Melinda Gates, Anthony Fauci, Christine Grady, Tedros Adhanom. What a freaking weird name. National Governors Association, CDC, WHO, blah 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 blah. Well, who's really this is the World Health Organization. These guys are really sensitive. Their egos are about the size of Texas, right? So you can't say anything, and if you don't listen to us, people will die. Crap, right? They do that. I'm going to show you what Fauci's frauds here in a minute. It's only a 15-minute video. We're going to watch at the end of this, and it's a very interesting video. I'll give you the link too if you want. All right, all we did was file the citation. The citation's been filed at the Human Rights Tribunal International in the court jackets. We run the court very professionally, by the way. We usually wait 90 days. We give everybody a lot of time to just turn things around. We may have a trial, we may have a judgment. We may not even try to enforce it. It depends on, we always give people about 90 days, 90 to sometimes 180 days before we throw a lien on them for damages. And that lien, folks, does not come off. It's done in common law. It follows them for the rest of their life. That's why we're very careful. And that's why we give them a lot of time. Because by the time that lien goes on them, it's a common law lien. It's been extremely effective since 1972. It can't come off. There's the guy that actually brought this forward to us. He's been doing this for a very long time, and since the 80s, and he put a lien on the road frontage. Okay, his part up to the middle of the road. And to this day, that highway it's a 4-lane. Right in front of his house, it goes down to a 2-lane and then goes back out to a 4-lane again. I kid you not. That's exactly what happens because they can't get around the lien. It's extremely effective. There was another one. There's I don't know how many stories like that. There's another house over in Utah that's still empty. Been empty for years because they can't get rid of the lien. They even tried to buy the lien for $5. That was not going to happen. So it's very effective the way we do it. We do it based on judgments, and you have to go through the court process and due process. We don't just slap it on there unless unless it's political. Okay, when we're being politically attacked, we politically attack that way. We go back at them because they'll just run you over. They don't listen to anything. They've been in sub power for so long, and they're so drunk with it that they just run people over. Just do that. They don't worry about liability or retaliation or anything like that. And I'm talking about the two parties that are sitting there, the two communist parties that are sitting there, the Republicans and Democrats. They're communists, I'm telling you. Both of them are. Neither one of them's different because they all have senators. All the senators are dirty as hell. Well, I mean hell, it's evil to the core, folks. Evil to the core. So just letting you know, just a little bit of background with that. So we put this in there. And then, I mean, these are the people that were calling us. They were calling our Secretary of State. Well, we were using a Google number in the beginning to forward to the Secretary of State. So it was for security purposes, to keep him safe, you know, that kind of thing. Hard to locate him, that kind of deal. So we did that for security reasons. And so what does Google do? We put out there, and we had to answer all these people. We got phone calls, and this is dealing with the Gates and the genocide case. Okay, I'm not really bringing a lot of the details of the genocide case up because it's still ongoing, but all these people were calling to find out if it was legit, and we're saying yes, it's legitimate. And the guy that got the case, or got our court recognized in the federal court, he came forward that same day. So I was blown away that he came forward. Everything was all coming together. So this was on May 6th. That's about 4 days ago. So the Committee of the National Assembly for the Government of the United States of America passed a motion to support the people of Germany. We're going to support them with knowledge and how to get their stuff back. Mexico, Scandinavia, Italy, Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom. All those calls came to our Secretary of State. Right through there. So what's Google do, right? Google sends a notice out. We put in there, due to the request through the Office of the Secretary of State, we did this, 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 and this. Okay, oppression and corruption of NWO. And we have a Declaration of Independence from the NWO. Aforementioned countries, Continental Public Bank for the purpose of trade. So we said for the further, the Committee of the National Assembly for the Government of the United States passed a motion to host those national currencies. Because we said the first step is a social compact agreement by and between the people of each country, and then the new constitution. Going back to their original national currency is a really good step towards communicating intent to the world. Now, further, the Committee of the National Assembly passed a motion to host the national currencies of the aforementioned countries at the Continental Public Bank for the purpose of trade and commerce, if so desired by the people of those aforementioned countries. So all you got to do is just contact us, or you can contact the bank or whatever and say, can you put this money up? This was our original national currency. We would like to trade with you. Okay, cool. We're good. So we put this out on the 6th. And these were all these people. Man, right after that. Okay. Here, let me do this. Now I'll refresh. So a charge of obstruction has been added against Bill Gates, Melinda Gates, Anthony Fauci, blah, 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 because we knew what they were doing. So Google did is unable to access a Google product. And this is what they write. You have been redirected to this page for a particular product. It means that your access to this product has been suspended. Read on for more information. Okay, your access to this Google product has been suspended because of a perceived violation of either the Google terms of service, which there was no violation. He was getting phone calls. The phone calls that apparently Bill didn't like. Old Billy Bob over there, Bill Gates, for specific product guidelines. Please visit the homepage. Oh, yeah, well, let me know what to do there, commie. So Google reserves the right to disable an account for investigation, suspend a Google account user for accessing a particular product or the entire Google accounts system if the terms of service or product specific policies are violated, terminate an account at any time for any reason with or without notice, which tells us right there that no violations were done. They just didn't like the fact, and they got a little jealous that we're getting some recognition there. They didn't like that. Because why? Because they're trying to get rid of all national governments or governments at all which they're pretty much done with, except for us. And because they want everybody to recognize their NWO, their world government. And I can't see it happening because people are already making fun of them. They're already making fun of it. It's a joke. The way they're trying to do it doesn't make any sense. And I'm not going to try to help them. Okay? So I'm just telling you right there. The Committee of the National Assembly for the Government thinks this type of notice is hilarious, because it is. They use the phone numbers to listen and spy on phone calls, right? Isn't that what they do? We didn't care if they were listening or not. Nobody else was being harassed if they were listening. The DOJ, the Homeland Security, and everybody else knows we exist. We even had a Homeland Security employee join as a resident declaration, under resident declaration. We had a clerk join. We've had other people join, cops, ex-cops, all kinds of stuff. Okay, we didn't care. Feds, we have one guy that works for the Fed right now, the federales, and he's just waiting. He's been there for a while, been here for a while. We're not worried about that. We're not paranoid about it. So this is why we thought it was hilarious. We were making fun of this because it said they use the phone numbers to listen and spy on calls, and then they suspend the service so they can't listen in on the phone calls. Sorry, that was funny when I saw that. I thought of that from their point of view. I was like, you just shut off your own. What the hell are you doing? If you were trying to listen or investigate or anything, you just shut off your own thing, your own access to the calls if you were going to listen. I thought that was hilarious, by the way. So it's kind of like the whole we wear a mask thing, okay, folks? If you wear a mask, it kind of gets rid of the whole facial recognition thing, don't you think? So it basically wipes out a whole industry of facial recognition, because if everybody's wearing a mask, how are you going to recognize them? That doesn't make any sense. So they're forcing people to wear masks so your facial recognition crap doesn't work anymore. That just sounds stupid to me. It's just making a point. That's all I'm doing. That's why I think their NWO is funny, because they do things like that a lot. And this is the draconian complete control, takeover, ego. And this is how the ego thinks. And the ego is really stupid, by the way. So I make fun of the ego all the time. It's just the ego is not you. It's a part of you. It's your evil side. And it just doesn't think things through. Okay? It says we don't think they thought this whole thing through, just like I just said. We simply do not have anything to hide. And this is huge tech company Goliath that is worth billions is afraid of and intimidated by David. So Billy, that's why I'm calling Bill Gates Billy now. Fauci, who and the rest make a phone call to their friends to suspend the phone service. Oh no, they really think they're going to stop the trial against them. We do not need the internet to hold trial. Okay, the Committee of the National Assembly for the Government of the United States of America is hereby adding obstruction to the list of other crimes as published. The respondents' so-called business ventures are adding real-world liabilities against their persons. Now, this next one here, this next notice is basically because they like what the U.S. likes to do, especially the U.S. attorneys. They like to try to claim that others are claiming to be them. They act like it's a trespass. And it was like, remember Liberty Dollar? Okay, the guy had the Liberty, the Statue of Liberty on his coin. And they took that as a copyright violation, which in fact it was. But if it was a government, it actually wasn't. But he didn't know it was a company. So the company has these things. Well, the name of the government and all of our seals are completely different, and we have never claimed to be the U.S. Hillary tried to pull that same crap. Oh, they just want to be us. No, we don't. We don't envy you at all. Matter of fact, we've been working very diligently for 10 years to get away from you, and I'm about to read to you why. So hold on to your hats, guys. I don't believe if I go into their courts that they have the right to try me, and not because they're a company or corporation. If I'm doing something wrong, then I deserve to be tried. But a driver's license is not doing anything wrong. A driver's license is nothing more than a political decision. And it's funny that all of that the U.S. claims all the roads and highways in this country, which is hilarious, by the way. The bankers love to do that because it's the king's highway and blah, 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 blah. I mean, just give themselves away, right? All right. Notice to the U.S. The government of the United States of America has never claimed to be the United States. If any person believes that this government has anything to do with the U.S., they're mistaken. The U.S. does not represent this government, nor the American National Union of the United States of America, nor does any scam artist claiming to be its fiduciary. Everybody knows who that is if they've been listening to T-Row. The U.S. abandoned its own constitution a long time ago, and it did. It has some huge mistakes in it, which means that there's an oath or affirmation for the President of the United States, but not the President of the United States of America. It's a stupid mistake. We consider the U.S. as the great whore, wherein the blood of the innocent stains its halls to the tune of 60 million or more. You've been killing 60 million children. And when you've got a little baby, which always gets close to bringing tears to my eyes, when the little baby is trying to fight off the doctor in the womb, push the doctor away, that's sad, man. That's really sad. That's horrid. That's evil. And I can't see it. If you follow what I'm saying, it's just very difficult to deal with. Okay. We separated a long time ago. We'll never claim to replace it. It's politicians whore out their own family or for chump change. Okay. You've seen Biden when he's sitting there feeling up and going side boob and under boob on little girls, right? Right there in front of everybody. And the father doesn't say anything. He's whoring out his daughter just to stay in Congress or the Senate. Sick. The most disgusting group of people ever assembled, which is why we have come out of the great whore. Come out of her, my people. And formed the States of the Union Society to rebuild this country with honor as its foundation. Okay, so that's why. So you understand why we did this. This is about repentance. If you go see the flag, or the colors of the flag, it goes back to Aaron and all that. It goes back to repentance and cleaning yourself up, and getting away from all this stuff. Okay, this is a disgusting situation. I'm going to show you why. Just one thing. Two things, actually. All right. Okay. You got all this crap going on in San Antonio City Council, and I've always busted Texas, right? Because why? Okay, it claims to be Christian. They claim to not want soccer in Texas because it's a clear communist conspiracy to take over the country. Soccer. I'm talking about soccer, the game soccer, SOCCER. So, but yet they have no problem saying San Antonio City Council passes resolution declaring Chinese virus to be hate speech. I'm sorry, that's funny and sad at the same time. So, okay, so they said declaring Chinese virus to be hate speech. Well, you just said Chinese virus. So you just you just said that you were saying hate speech. What the hell? That's why the whole hate speech laws and all, that's why they're so ridiculous. You're going to tell me what hate speech is, but at the same time you're doing it. So now you're guilty and can be prosecuted. That's how ridiculous that is. And that's why I say, when the internet slows down when it goes down to Texas so they can keep up with all this crazy stuff. Okay? So Chinese virus. And this is why I think liberals are hilarious. Okay, well, you can't say this or you can't say that. You can't say Chinese virus. That's hate speech. Well, great. You're under arrest for hate speech because you just told me what it was and you used it. Duh. That's stupid. The whole thing is stupid. Then it says encourages citizens to report people to whose terms who use terms to the authorities. Well, you just did, so we're going to report you. So who's the authority now, right? It's hilarious, guys. He says unanimously passed that. President Trump and many of his supporters have used variations of both terms as a reminder that COVID-19 did indeed originate in China. Okay, so this prompted the media and leftists to claim Trump was being racist. Declared such language to be hate speech. It's hilarious. Okay, now this is the funny part. This is when you get what they call overregulated. What they just did was politically they just claimed that China was their friend while China's attacking you over here. Okay, so they just outed themselves as communist. Now you can go ahead and arrest them for the Communist Control Act of 1954. They can be arrested now. This is what they call overregulation. Now, 1954 was after 1948, 1933, so it still applies. So there you go. This is what I mean by you're going to tell me what's hate speech. And it says resolution be voted by this morning labels terms Chinese virus and Kung Fu virus as hate speech. Well, does that mean that this website or anybody that reports this is using hate speech? When does it when does it come into effect? Chicken, egg, folks, you know what I mean? Goes comes first, the chicken or the egg? All hate speech is ridiculous. It's stupid because you're regulating speech, which violates speech, the right and freedom of speech in the UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. You have the right to speak. So now they're not only communists, they violated human rights, and they just opened themselves up for a huge lawsuit for stupid crap like that, like what they just did here. It's funny. Okay. So enough of that BS, right? This is why we're doing the whole deal. Now, I didn't know this, by the way, until I saw this. This is Fauci, and this is good. This is about 15 minutes long. I'm hoping I can play it here. Okay, but if my bandwidth's bad, I'm just going to stop it. I'm going to give you a13 minutes and 13 seconds long. If it stops and keeps interrupting, I'm just going to give you the link, okay? And you're going to see something that's very interesting because I didn't know this, and I was alive when it happened. I just wasn't paying attention to it because I was busy studying and trying to rebuild the country at around this time, okay? So I didn't realize the H1N1 was so huge, and I wasn't really following it. I was so busy. All right, so here we go. Here's Fauci back then. Obviously this is on Brass Check, so I'll give you the link at the bottom. So I'm gonna make sure that you guys can hear it, and then we're gonna end the program after this.
Tonight we begin a new feature here on KXLY4, a chance to hear your questions about how the world works and bring you along as we find out the answers.
So what I want to tell you is I hear that's in the video when you're hearing that's in the video. So that's not me. I'm just letting you know. That's just an old video from 2010.
Well, this first installment brings back a story that dominated our lives last fall, the swine flu pandemic. It was expected to kill millions, and the CDC even predicted 40% of the population would be infected.
But we don't hear about it anymore. Tonight, you've asked what happened to the swine flu, and KXLY4's Melissa Luck says, good question.
Here in the newsroom, we have done a ton of stories about the swine flu since the outbreak began last year. This is our news archive system. I just want to see how many swine flu stories we did here at KXLY in 2009. There's your answer, 1,733 swine flu stories last year. We're only a couple of months into 2010 so far, but the CDC says the swine flu is still very much a reality. But we did the same search for swine flu stories this year, just 5 swine flu stories. Remember when you couldn't turn on the TV without hearing us talk about the swine flu?
Swine flu.
Swine flu. I know, it's been a while. Before Christmas, even before Thanksgiving. In fact, all the way back to April. But who could forget when the swine flu fears had people lined up for hours outside the Spokane Arena?
You're over 25. You need to have an underlying condition.
Desperate for the few swine flu shots available.
All right, y'all hear that? Underlying condition. Same thing you're hearing now. Same exact thing.
Is it a surprise to you that it's declined so much so quickly?
No, it's typical when you have a pandemic to have a peak and then a rapid decrease in the number of cases.
That's what people understood in 2010. But just a year earlier, in 2009, they had a completely different idea. Where did their fear of the swine flu come from? Remember, when you hear someone refer to H1N1, they're also talking about the swine flu. So let's take a look at the origins of the swine flu panic.
The Centers for Disease Control this past week quadrupled its estimated H1N1 flu virus death toll to roughly 3,900 between April and mid-October. For more on the outbreak, we are joined by Dr. Anthony Fauci, the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Dr. Fauci, good evening to you.
Good evening.
Despite those numbers we just gave, this past week in this country, the reported number of cases of H1N1 were down. Should we be encouraged by that?
I think it's really premature to get any encouragement for that. There was a little blip down in the pattern of the number of cases, but since flu is eminently unpredictable, I think it's really dangerous to make any assumptions as what's going to happen over the next few weeks or months. It could have peaked and then might come down. That would be wonderful if that happens. Or it could peak and then taper off like this, which means there'd be many more cases of influenza. Or it could peak, come down, and then in the middle of the winter we could have a second wave. So I think we ought to refrain from making any kind of conclusions about the patterns based on a single week's tally.
Sound familiar, folks? Saying the same thing, the exact same thing, word for word.
That was Tony Fauci in 2009. Now we're going to return to 2010 and see how the story evolved. As you watch these clips, look at the upper right-hand corner and see the date. When you see 2009, that's when the issue was in panic mode. When you see 2010, that's when people figured out what was really going on. There'll be one other clip from 2020 at the end of this video, which I think you'll find very interesting.
Deadly influenza pandemic or nothing worse than a mild case of the flu. Here in Thailand, their swine flu vaccination program has just begun, but in other parts of the world, serious questions are being raised about the handling of the pandemic. Health officials around the world had believed swine flu could kill hundreds of thousands, if not millions. They introduced emergency measures and spent in excess of $20 billion on vaccines. But now Wolfgang Wodardt, head of health at the Council of Europe, says they got it wrong. Not only that, they were misled by the World Health Organization and unduly influenced by drug companies.
The WHO, in cooperation with some big pharmaceutical companies and their scientists, redefined pandemics and lowered the alarm threshold. Those new standards forced politicians in most states to react immediately and sign marketing commitments for additional and new vaccines against swine flu and spend billions of dollars to catch up.
France is one country feeling the prick of embarrassment. Officials spent a staggering $1.25 billion buying 94 million doses of H1N1 vaccine. So far, only 5 million have been used. Now the country, like many others that bought big, is trying to sell off surplus stock. Having committed to buy the vaccines, Dr. Vodag says health officials then sought to justify their decision.
Never before the search for traces of the virus was carried out so broadly and intensively. Besides, many cases of death that happened to coincide with seropositive H1N1 lab findings were simply attributed to swine flu and used to foster fear.
The World Health Organization had been hinting about raising the alert level for some time, but it waited until the virus had spread across more than one continent. The WHO's Director General Margaret Chan announced that almost 30,000 confirmed cases have been reported in 74 countries on 5 continents.
We are in the...
Okay, I want to interrupt just one more time. And then I'll show you the new phone number that we got to be able to call if you need. Keep in mind, we're not saying that the pandemic or the coronavirus is not real at all. Matter of fact, our case for genocide hinges on the fact that it is real, and that they're making such a big deal out of it with sorry numbers and stuff, just like they did back 2009. The same exact thing. Now we have a pattern. Okay, so and they're trying to do the vaccine thing. What we're saying is that it was manufactured by man. Nature did not manufacture this. Man did. And we're saying that it was done so that people will concentrate on the virus and not anything else. You got 1.2 million people that have tuberculosis that are not being watched after. You've got a lot of furloughed doctors, and you've got a lot of, what do you call that? Operations, essential operations that are not being completed. So we're not saying that the what they call COVID, which they rebranded it as COVID so that they could make their money on it, the coronavirus. I'm not saying that it wasn't real or it didn't happen. We're glad that you, Mr. Fauci, and many others have, and through your news media, has ultimately said that this is absolutely true, because those words are going to be used against you for your intent to commit genocide. So thank you. We appreciate it. Keep running your mouth. That's exactly what we want you to do.
The earliest days of the pandemic, the virus is spreading under a close and careful watch. No previous pandemic has been detected so early or watched so closely in real time right at the very beginning.
So what happens now? Dr. Chan says the official declaration of the pandemic means drug manufacturers will speed up development of a vaccine, although one is not expected to be available before September.
That's exactly what they said before, and today, that they were able to speed up the vaccines. That's exactly what happened. Nobody did anything different.
Until then, Dr. Keiji Fukuda of the WHO
Did you see people wiping things down? Same thing.
is telling countries to maintain vigilance.
At some point, it will become established in most of the countries around the world, which means that there will be a lot of people who will have gotten infected over the next 1 or 2 years, and then we'll begin to see immunity build up in the population.
The virus raised the roofs, and this one, like all influenza viruses, can change the rules without rhyme or reason at any time.
This past week in this country, the reported number of cases of H1N1 were down. Should we be encouraged by that?
I think it's really premature to get any encouragement for that. There was a little blip down in the pattern of...
He's got to keep the fear up, okay, so that people want this vaccine, so that he can get investors into the vaccine. If there's no vaccine now, the stocks are really, really low. When that vaccine comes out, see, he's not a doctor. You got to realize that this guy's is a stockbroker. This is how he operates. He's got to make sure that those stocks come way up when that vaccine comes in, and he does it with fear.
Of the number of cases, but since flu is eminently unpredictable, I think it's really dangerous to make any assumptions as what's going to happen over the next few weeks or months.
Now, we wanted to hear from CDC when we found that these figures, the high negative rate among those cases considered to be most likely to be swine flu, and they wouldn't answer Freedom of Information requests that we filed. They wouldn't answer questions that we posed to them, and we approached Dr. Frieden, who heads CDC, at an unrelated news conference to confront him about this lack of information. Here's that tape.
Dr. Frieden, I'm Fernando Suarez with CBS News. I work with Cheryl Atkinson from our investigative department. This is on a separate issue. For weeks we've been trying to get information from your office on the state-by-state breakdown of the H1N1 virus, and your office has been obstructing the release of that information. Can you assure us that you would personally look into this so that we can get that public information released today?
We will certainly look into it. We do work in partnership with states and coordinate with them on release of data that is data reported to CDC by state governments. So it's a question of coordinating with the states on release of information. I'd like to see if there are other questions, perhaps, on the...
One last question. The information is available to the CDC right now. What can we do to get that information released to us today? Your office has stopped communicating with us about this issue, so we had to come down here to ask you personally to get involved.
I am aware of the issue. We are discussing with states because some of the states have provided to us preliminary or incomplete data. And
when you heard him say, I am aware of the issue, it means he's already been told, and it was by his order to ignore them. That was a confession, by the way.
We need to make sure that any data we release to the public is accurate and that the entities that have reported are comfortable that that data actually represents what they intended to report. So
they haven't gotten their orders from WHO, which is World Health Organization, where they get their orders from the Rothschilds over at the City of London, which is the Crown. Not the Queen, the Crown. That's what he's saying. We haven't gotten our orders from the Crown, City of London, the little 1 mile square place over in London. We haven't gotten our orders yet to be able to release that. That's what he's telling them. This is why it sounds like you're getting a runaround, but you got to understand how these guys operate.
Once we are comfortable in that, we will be happy to release it to you. I do not know whether that will be today or not. Are there other questions?
I do not know. He's the director. He doesn't know whether that's going to be today or not. There you go. He hasn't gotten his orders yet.
About the prevention, communities putting prevention to work.
It could have peaked and then might come down. That would be wonderful if that happens. Or it could peak and then taper off like this, which means there'd be many more cases of influenza. Or it could peak, come down, and then in the middle of the winter, we could have a second wave. So I think we ought to refrain from making any kind of conclusions about the patterns.
The Council of Europe will launch a probe into pharmaceutical companies accused of manipulating swine flu data. This follows a claim by a renowned German scientist that vaccine manufacturers pressured the World Health Organization into declaring a swine flu pandemic, seeking to increase profits. RT's Laura Emmett has more.
It was supposed to be a deadly pandemic, but it's so far nothing more than a serious cold. And it's left a lasting headache as a debate rages over whether pharmaceutical companies deliberately misled governments about the seriousness of swine flu to make them stockpile vaccines. The legal standards organisation, the Council of Europe, will gather the arguments.
Britain has spent a fortune on preparations. We've caused a great deal of stress to the population. People are very anxious about it. And we've distorted the priorities of our health service. And I believe when we have a thorough investigation and we look at this, we'll discover that that's the story. The world has been subjected to a stunt for their own greedy interests of the pharmaceutical companies.
Health expert Gawain Tola says farmers will be farmers, and it's governments who should have been less gullible.
Pharmaceutical companies, of course, have a huge economic interest in
encouraging concern of health. I think you have to blame the governments for going along with this.
He says, now we got to blame the governments for going along with it. Well, those are all companies of the Rothschilds and the Crown, right? Why? Because the Crown's like 2,000 years old. That little mile square is about 2,000-year-old organization. What he's saying is that why did all these so-called companies that are running these countries, why'd they go along with all this? It's because all the senators, you notice there's a lot of senators, a lot of the countries are set up the same way. They all have stock investments in pharmaceuticals. There you go, folks. Why? Everybody's got these pharmaceutical issues and everybody's got these medicine issues and medical bills are so high. Why are they so high, but yet the politicians do nothing about it? The senators and congressmen do nothing about it. The reason why they do nothing about it is because every single one of them have stocks in it. They're a part of the deal. So they're not going to go into price controls. Trust me on that. Stocks will go through the floor. They'll lose a lot of money. This is why the Clintons, when they went into office first 30 days, they were going to socialize medicine. The Clintons bought $9,700 worth of stocks. Okay, 30 days later, they said, oh, it's not really a popular idea, so nobody's going to do it. And the stocks went up to $150,000. And then she was investigated about it. But now, of course, it's not going to go anywhere because anybody that gets any information, they're suicided. So that's the way it works.
For not having natural skepticism of the claims of somebody who has a financial interest. The government wants it to be seen to be doing something useful. And in that way, they encourage the fear that then forced them to act.
It could have peaked and then might come down. That would be wonderful if that happens. Or it could peak and then taper off like this, which means there'd be many more cases of influenza. Or it could peak, come down, and then in the middle of the winter, we could have a second wave. So I think we ought to refrain from making any kind of conclusions about the patterns.
Trade-off, you just mentioned, obviously, the economic pain. What do you think the right balance is between the trade-off of...
There he is again. This is 2020.
Protecting people's lives and the economic hit? I mean, do you see a situation where the global economy could be virtually at a standstill for a year or even more?
Well, it won't go to zero, but it will shrink. Global GDP is going to take, probably the biggest hit ever. Maybe the Depression was worse or 1873. I don't know, but in my lifetime, this will be the greatest economic hit. But you don't have a choice. People act like you have a choice. People don't feel like going to the stadium when they might get infected. It's not the government who's saying, okay, just ignore this disease. And, people are deeply affected by seeing these deaths, by knowing they could be part of the transmission chain, and, old people, their parents, their grandparents could be affected by this. And so you don't get to say, ignore what's going on here. There will be the ability, particularly in rich countries, to open up if things are done well over the next few months. But for the world at large, normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population. And so, although there's a lot of work on testing, a lot of work on drugs that we're involved with, trying to achieve that ambitious goal, which has never been done.
So you have to ask yourself, this is a guy that created Microsoft. He works with computers. What difference is it to him whether this goes one way or the other on vaccines? What made him get into vaccines? Well, he bought the brains, happened to be the corrupted brains of Fauci. There you go. Why does he care? Why are they interviewing this guy? He's a computer guy. He deals with X's and zeros and ones. Zeros and ones. That's it. That's what he deals with. When he first started, he had all his people. Before they made the first computer, he gave stocks to them. That's how he paid him. So what does he have to do with it, folks? Just think about these things.
For the vaccine, that rises to the top of the list. Eventually, what we'll have to have is certificates of who's a recovered person, who's a vaccinated person, because you don't want people moving around the world where you'll have some countries that won't have it under control. Sadly, you don't want to completely block off the ability for those, people to go there and come back and move around. So eventually there will be sort of this digital immunity proof that, will help facilitate the global reopening up.
We're joined by Dr. Anthony Fauci, the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Dr. Fauci, good evening to you.
Good evening.
Despite those numbers we just gave, this past week in this country, the reported number of cases of H1N1 were down. Should we be encouraged by that?
I think it's really premature to get any encouragement for that. There was a little blip down in the pattern of the number of cases.
Got to keep that hype up to put more pressure on a vaccine, which they already have.
But since flu is eminently unpredictable, I think it's really dangerous to make any assumptions as what's going to happen over the next few weeks or months.
The virus writes the rules. And this one, like all influenza viruses, can change the rules without rhyme or reason at any time.
There will be the ability, particularly in rich countries, to open up if things are done well over the next few months. But for the world at large, normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population.
And there you go, folks. That's the way it is. This was all done on purpose. And there's a video too. I've got to go find it, but you're more than welcome to take a look at it. But a few things I got to cover, and away we go. Okay, this was going on around the internet. So I just wanted to bring this up. I thought it would be appropriate for this. Here you go. Here is Anthony Fauci here. Here's Bill Gates Sr. He knows his father. There's Soros right here. They all know each other, folks. Everybody's in bed with each other. Here's David Rockefeller behind Babada Wawa. And Bill Moyers, Ted Turner. All the same thing. It's a stock market manipulation. That's all it is. That's all that's going on with it. Okay, one more thing, and I want to thank everybody for listening to the 175th broadcast of the T. Rowe Show. I am rebuilding the T. Rowe Show website. It's going to be done a little differently, but it's going to be is being rebuilt now. So we'll have should be back to normal in the next couple of days, if not a week or so, within the week. This was the old number here, in case people, that was on top of the document that people are trying to verify. Yes, it is verified. That was the genocide document, which is still going around like crazy, okay? Believe it or not. It's still here, still there, the whole deal. But this is the new number here, which was 774-327-9627 if you would like to call to verify. We can be reached there. So 774-327-9627. If they go around and try to change that again, we'll get you another one. Don't worry about it. We'll just keep getting new numbers. So 774-327-9627. If you'd like to verify or you have a friend, make the phone call. Yes, that is Tom Gowdy. And he'll verify, yes, it is real, and we are a real deal. So thanks for listening to the 175th broadcast of the T. Rowe Show. We will see you next week.